Hi YouTube and welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me here once again to study Proverbs 31. Today I will be finishing the series. I've decided to combine the last 4 verses because they all seem to go together. So let's get into it. Let's turn our Bibles to Proverbs 31 verse 28. It reads, "Her children rise up and call her blessed, happy, fortunate, and to be envied. And her husband boasts of and praises her, saying, Many daughters have done virtuously, nobly, and well, with the strength of character that is steadfast in goodness, but you excel them all. Charm and grace are deceptive, and beauty is vain, because it is not lasting. But a woman who reverently and worshipfully fears the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates of the city." Okay, so let's break this down. This is probably the first time that we're hearing about what the children say about her and what her husband says about her. Up to this point, it was just kind of a general observation of this woman, kind of a third-party observation of what she does for herself, for her family. But now this is about her reputation with the people closest to her. So these are the people who know her best, who are talking so highly of her. These are the people who know who she is behind closed doors. And even they are boasting, praising, and calling her blessed. But what are they praising her for? Many daughters have done virtuously, nobly, and well, with the strength of character that is steadfast in goodness, but you excel them all. So her husband, at the very least, gives us a little bit of insight. She is being praised for her virtue, her nobility, her strength of character, and her goodness and steadfastness. But it's not just these qualities that she is being praised for. She's being praised for the fact that she has these qualities in spades. She has these qualities to such a degree that she stands out. She excels above other women who are noble, who are virtuous, who have strong character, and who are steadfast in goodness. This is also really interesting because this is the first time that we're hearing her being compared to anyone else. Throughout this entire thing, it's mainly been about seeing her in isolation and seeing her virtue by itself and stand alone. But this is the first time that we're actually seeing her be compared to others. There is no comparison. She is in a lane of her own. It's almost as if the scripture is saying that if you're going to compare yourself in any way, compare yourself in strength of character. Compare yourself in virtue. Compare yourself in goodness. These are more important things to be concerned about developing other than your appearance or your talent or work. But I believe her husband continues in verse 30 as he says, "Charm and grace are deceptive, and beauty is vain, because it is not lasting. But a woman who reverently and worshipfully fears the Lord, she shall be praised." So that really confirms it for us then. It is her fear of the Lord that she is being praised for. The fear of the Lord is the source of her nobility, her virtue, her strength of character, her steadfast goodness. These things are the fruit of her spirit, which fears the Lord. Speaking of fruit, the last verse, verse 31, which I think it's so interesting that it ends on 31 and it's chapter 31 of Proverbs. There's probably some meaning in that. I'll have to ask a rabbi. But speaking of fruit, the last verse talks about giving her the fruit of her hands, letting her own works praise her at the gates, the city gates. I have found that the only other time it talks about the gates, it was about reputation. It was about platform. That was when the scriptures were talking about her husband. He's known at the gates. So now we actually find out that this woman is also known at the gates. She is known at the gates because of the works that she has done. Her own works actually shape her reputation, and she has a platform because of the work of her hands. It says basically that her works speak for themselves. You can point to this woman's character. You can point to her virtue. You can point to her nobleness, point to her steadfast goodness. She has produced fruit. She has products of her inner man. She has products of her spiritual self, which fears the Lord. She's not a woman only of talk. She's a woman of production, of doing, not as the world does, but according to the virtue and skills that are God-given in her life. But this is surprisingly a very short study. In conclusion, the Proverbs 31 woman is like a blueprint of how a woman should build her life from beginning to the end. I mean, she is a woman who has taken her time to figure out who she is, where her source is, which is God, her fear of God. I mean, it says she wakes up early in the morning while it is still night to get spiritual food. This woman knows where her source is. She knows what her talents are. She gets to work honing them, sharpening them. She shares them. She gives to people. But she gives when she's full. She knows what she can handle. She doesn't take on more than she can. She has a high value of herself. She's not concerned with other people's value of her. I mean, there's so much in this, and I've only gone through it once. You could go through this 10, 20, 30 times and get 1,000 new revelations. So that was just my one pass through these scriptures, and there's so much to study here. I think I'm going to do a video summarizing all the points that I got from studying Proverbs 31 to share with you, to maybe inspire you and myself to really outline what exactly this woman did to orchestrate and build such a wonderful and fulfilling life. So I think that will be my next video. The reason I started this Bible study was because I was hearing a lot of things about what it is to be a feminine woman, what it is to be a woman, all over the internet, but I wasn't really hearing an in-depth reason as to why a Christian feminine woman should behave one way or another. I might have just missed it. I might have not seen the studies out there, but I just wanted to do a study for myself and share it with you. I love digging into this woman, and I think I'm going to continue digging into different women in the Bible and see how they express their femininity. And I love that in this case, this woman's femininity doesn't look like anything the world says. It doesn't look like being a man, and it also doesn't even resemble the quote-unquote soft life that has been going around the internet as a feminine life or what have you. This woman's life was not soft. It was constantly about sowing and reaping and working and producing and being creative and connecting with the source, which is God. This woman's life, her femininity, resembles nothing in this world, and that's the God I know. The God I know is above and beyond all of our thinking, all of our assumptions, all of our understanding. So I'm excited to start another series, and this next series is going to be on Esther, Queen Esther. I love this story. I know a lot of women do, and I would love to dig in and see how she expressed her femininity. So I'm going to end right there. Thank you so much for joining me on this series of Proverbs 31. I hope that it's inspired you as much as it has inspired me. I hope that you go back and study the Proverbs 31 woman in depth, and I will see you next time. Bye.